So, using Telegram as a user interface for Zabbix. This is what I'm going to talk about. I'll give a short introduction about who I am and what 727 is. I'll quickly explain what the problem is we want to solve, the requirements we have for a solution. So why did we choose Telegram over other possibilities? I'm going to give an overview and a quick demo about some of the interesting and exciting features. I'll talk about the implementation details and some not so obvious choices we had to make, and I'll round up with some future ideas we have. So who am I? My name is Sven Putteneers. I have more than 7 years of almost daily Zabbix experience. I'm a proud owner of a ZCE for Zabbix 6.0, and I'm also obviously a bit active on the Telegram community, where I go by the name of By1. So what is 727? That's a company I started. Among other things, I do Zabbix consultancy. And if you want to email me with questions, remarks, anything, use his email address, and I'll respond as quickly as possible. So let's start with a show of hands. Who here uses email as the notification mechanism for Zabbix? I guess almost everybody does. So who uses Telegram, either the built-in version or some custom developed integration? And who here would like to have their Telegram to be a bit more interactive, not just email through an app, but something that you can use for actually communicating with your Zabbix installation? So for the people who have their hands still in the air, I hope this presentation will be interesting for you. So the problem. For us, our complete on-call service is driven by Zabbix. So when in the middle of the night a customer experiences problems, the on-call engineer gets a Telegram message and has to act quickly because we're under SLA. So the idea is to give them relevant information, a quick way to acknowledge problems so they don't escalate to the management, have some way to make this easy to use and also quick to use. Because keep in mind, when you have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the night, you're not really in a state of mind that you want to open your laptop, fat finger your password because you're still sleepy, try to log in again, start a VPN, lose time. You want to have an idea of what is going on at the customer site as quickly as possible to get an idea, how much time will it take you. We also want auditability, because if you can acknowledge problems, you can use it as a way to just not let your management know that you'd rather stay in bed than actually do your on-call service. And if possible, we want to give some extra information. We have different teams responsible for different kinds of stuff. We have a networking team who are responsible for networking. We have a safety and security team. They're responsible for security cameras at the customer. And sometimes a problem, it might be a network equipment, it might be a camera, it might be something else. It's nice to know who you can call to collaborate and solve the problem the customer has as quickly as possible. It also helps to see what other open alarms are. We made the choice to only send Telegram notifications during on-call hours for alarms that have a severity of high or disaster. But knowing that, for example, a disk is almost running full, it might give a more complete picture of the problem you're trying to solve. So the considerations and requirements we had for picking a solution to make this all happen. Stuff we don't want. Our first iteration was on a platform called Pushbullet. I don't know whether anybody remembers that, but it's been gone for quite a while. So we want a platform that is obviously here to stay. It won't disappear. We also want to make it easy to change the owner of the notification mechanism. For example, on Telegram, every bot is owned by a person. And when the guy who owned our bot left the company, and 6 months later, Telegram platform decided this bot has been without an owner for too long, we're going to delete it. That led to a really fun afternoon. And we also don't want unreliable delivery mechanisms. The on-call and the SLAs that are attached to it are driven by this mechanism, so we at least need to have a guarantee that messages and notifications are actually delivered to the people who need to intervene. Some stuff we do want. We want some basic text formatting. For example, having bold, underline, italic. The idea is to have the information to be as clear as possible at first glance, and being able to put a little bit of formatting there really helps readability. We also want something that has Unicode support. For example, a red cross or a green check mark. It makes it really visually easy to see whether there is a problem. It has been solved. If possible, we would like some multiple content types. So yeah, obviously text, but having images is cool as well, because then we can use our integration to also draw graphs, for example. An easy and familiar user interface. Obviously, everybody knows how to use WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, you call it. It's easy for people to get used to, even if it's maybe a messaging client they don't use already. And for us who have to implement all this, we'd like an API that is easy to use, so we can quickly iterate, implement new features, and get this thing as bug-free as possible. So, for all these reasons, we chose Telegram, because it ticks all the boxes. It's cross-platform, the two big mobile platforms, but also on a desktop, which is really nice if you're not on call, but during the day there is a problem. It's much nicer to be able to use a real keyboard to interact with the bot. Telegram is a stable and robust platform. The only few times our bot didn't want to work as expected was when we made a programming error. It has never been the platform that was down. A familiar user interface, yeah, as I said, using a messaging client, they all look alike, they all work alike, they all feel alike. There is no steep learning curve for new users. And Telegram also has a very good bot API. It officially supports hooking your own custom code into Telegram. So you don't have to use some command line client that's supported by some guy with too much free time and good intentions. No, this is actually supported by Telegram, the platform itself. This API means that there are some very nice user interface features, like you can create custom keyboards and buttons. You'll see that later in the demo. And Telegram actually tells you whether it was able to successfully deliver a message or whether it wasn't able to, and if not, why not. For example, the user blocked the bot, or the user has been offline for 2 weeks. At least you know whether somebody intentionally blocks the bot or whether it's some coincidence and we'll have to try again later. So some of the implementation details. The integration is actually 2 scripts. The first one is the one that's called by Zabbix when it needs to get out an alarm notification. And the other one is the script that is called by the Telegram platform. When a user types a message comes in, the integration script processes this, does some API calls to Zabbix if needed, and returns an answer. And both of these have to work together. They must share state. So there's a small database in the backend. And why is that? For example, there is a problem. An alarm triggers, a message gets sent out. It has a nice acknowledge button underneath it. Somebody pushes this acknowledge button. Sending out the message is the responsibility of the media type script, but processing the acknowledgement button and performing the correct actions for that, that's the responsibility of the user command processing script. The integration user we use in Zabbix, the user that is used by the API scripts, has to be super admin, because this user needs to be able to see all of your Zabbix. And this means that also the access management, which user can access which hosts, needs to be done in the bot script itself. It's difficult to outsource that to Zabbix, which would be ideal, but yeah, we have to take care of that ourselves. And the user used by the integration scripts also needs front-end access because we want to be able to fetch graphs, and that is something you cannot do through the API, but you need to actually get the login to the front end and retrieve graphs that way. So some of the features we have, I touched on that a little bit already. When an alarm comes in, you have an acknowledge button, and optionally you can put an acknowledge message there that also gets communicated to Zabbix through the API. You can also refresh alert messages, and that allows you to update the operational data that's in there and show when a colleague of you has acknowledged an alarm. You can list all the open alarms filtered on host groups, hosts, whatever. You can also filter on minimum severity that you want, just so you don't get a list of 5 pages long when you're just interested in the high priority alarms. We also, since this is our role on call is driven by this system, we also have a command standby, which shows you who is standby for all the teams. And the most, in my opinion, the most exciting feature is we can actually fetch host graphs, and we have some buttons you can zoom out, move to the past, move to the future, refresh graphs, actually like you can if you open a graph in the Zabbix web interface itself. So this is an example. What does it look like? I enter the command graph here, and then the bot asks me to choose a host group. So it tells me how many hosts are there. Host groups without any hosts that are accessible to me, because these hosts are filtered to the ones accessible to the user I am. They are not shown. So you then select the host, and it tells you, oh, there are a host group, I mean, and then the bot tells me there are 3 hosts in this host group that have 1 or more graphs defined. These are the actual graphs that are defined on the hosts. These are not yet the ad hoc graphs for any numerical data, although that would be a cool feature to add, but at the moment, that's not implemented yet. So then I select a graph. Yeah, in my little example, I just attached the ICMP ping template to this host. So there is only 1 graph possible, but if there are more graphs, more buttons are shown. And then after calculating for 3 seconds, the graph is returned here together with the timestamp, and some buttons go back in the past, zoom out, refresh, zoom in, or go forward in the future. This is actually, when you open the graph full screen, you actually see a full screen graph for default of, the default is 4 hours in the past and ending at now. So if you look at these kind of graphs when you have to solve a problem, you don't need to open your laptop and do the whole logging in dance, going to Zabbix front end. You can just use this to actually get a quick overview of what is happening at the customer. Some future ideas we have is to auto-update alerts automatically. Telegram has this nice feature that you can actually edit messages that you've already sent. You can also edit messages as a bot that you've already sent. That's the reason why, when I go back, you see first there is this graph command, and then this message gets updated. You don't get new messages all the time, which keeps everything nicely self-contained. So auto-updating would be nice right now when 3 people get an alert, and one of them acknowledges it, the other ones have to refresh to see that. But there is nothing stopping us, especially with the shared database thingy at the back end, where we store all the messages that were sent out for specific event IDs. We could actually automatically push an update and let them know, let the users know with, for example, a different icon than the red X or the green check mark, that an alarm has been acknowledged by somebody, so they know that their colleague is going to look into the problem. So let's add some more commands as well, would be nice. It will be nice to actually administer the bot through the bot Telegram interface itself, instead of having to log into the server where the bot is running, edit config files, restart the bot. Having a little overview, like in the Zabbix server status overview widget on the dashboard would be nice as well. And next to acknowledging open alarms, alarms that allow manual close, it would be nice to have the little button as well with alarm notifications, so we can close alarms through the Telegram interface as well. Another thing that would be nice is to implement other backends. We've tried to make our code as modular as possible. Communicating with the Zabbix API is one thing, and on the backend there is a Telegram integration, but it would be nice to also integrate with, for example, Signal. There is a blog post by OICTS on the Zabbix website that details how to actually get this done, but it would be nice to have two-way communication there as well. And the same goes for WhatsApp, Slack. There are multiple integrations. Teams probably one as well. As long as messages can be sent from a client to the bot script, then this kind of two-way integration is possible. So that was it for me. If you have any questions, my name is Sven Putteneers. Find me on Telegram, send me an email. I promise I will create a LinkedIn very soon now, probably maybe next week, haven't one yet. Or find me in the hallway and come talk to me.